Welcome to Say More, the podcast where we expand the conversation around what it means to be human. I'm Andy Spray, and I'm here with my co-host, Emily Lawyer, licensed professional counselor. We're answering your real questions, and while we're at it, creating a community where we can grow together and learn how to connect more to self in order to connect more to others and more to God. Hi.
Hello, hello.
How are you doing?
Happy to see you.
Are you feeling healthy?
Yeah. I mean, you know.
Don't tell who's
sort
ever
of.
using this microphone after me, but my throat kind of hurts.
Oh, no.
Let's keep that between us. Wink, wink.
Oh, no.
I think it's just from over talking, probably.
Okay.
That is a...
Well, good thing you're recording a podcast.
That's
right
great.
now.
Listen, it's a professional hazard, talking too much. A couple weeks ago, we played a little game.
Yes.
Played a little Mad Gap.
Yes. We like to play a lot of games, and that was
We
one
like
of
to
them
play
that
games.
we played.
We tried that one.
we attempted.
We are learning that a lot of people are much better than we are. And that's okay.
We've heard some feedback.
We've heard some feedback, mostly at people shouting at their phones. I will tell you, when I listened to it, like when it came out, I listened to it, and even I was shouting at my phone. It's like, cheaper by the dozen, come on. But it's harder when you're looking at it.
It really is.
And I think, well, there was one we couldn't get. And
Yes.
we said it about 100
Oh, my goodness.
times.
We tried so hard.
And you and I both confessed, or at least I confessed, maybe I'm imagining that you also said this, but while you were sharing the very important information about distorted thinking, the whole time in my brain, I'm like, wean.
My brain was still churning.
Support. Wean. It trains. I just kept thinking about it.
It's that unresolved ambiguity that we said our brains hate. It's like a
I had to get
itch
to home
that
base.
needs to be scratched.
It needed to be scratched. I did not get it scratched. However, as soon as we stopped recording, you're like, oh, I got it. Would you like to tell the people what it was?
All right, everyone. I know you've been holding your breath.
No, they already got it 6 months ago.
We finally figured out. It's when it rains, it pours. It seems so obvious
Obviously,
now.
It feels very obvious. But in the moment, it didn't. And we tried really hard on that one.
Ween it train supports.
Yeah, when it rained.
I mean, it was a bit of a stretch.
I was stuck on train. Ween it train. The Ween it train. Anyways, that train is going to leave the station.
It's gone.
Because now it's out of my brain.
Okay.
But I wanted to follow up. We're going to play a different game today.
Okay.
You may have noticed by our episode title, we're talking about boundaries.
Again,
We talked about boundaries last season, and we did a little people pleaser quiz. So we've already established that Emily and I have high levels of people pleaser tendencies.
all the listeners know.
We already know. However, we're going to kind of mix it up. We're going to play a game that's called Step Off or Be Stepped On.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to give you some scenarios.
Okay.
And you're going to say, now, we've already established that our tendency is sort of to be polite and get
Yes,
stepped on.
for sure.
But all of these things I'm going to tell you are egregious.
Ooh.
And I want to know, which one would you rather say step off to someone?
Okay.
Step off. So some of them are more physical.
So I'm going to choose that in this either scenario, I would say step off, or I'm going to allow myself to be stepped on.
Yes. There's going to be 2 for each kind of category.
Okay.
I'm going to start with the airport because there's no more place of human violations than air travel.
Coming at us from all directions.
It is the most dehumanizing experience.
It really is.
When you are walking to the bathroom in your socks, you're standing over people, people are knocking out of the way. It's just so upsetting on all levels. The seats get smaller, the accommodations get less. So I want to know, step off or be stepped on.
Okay.
There's going to be 2, and you have to pick. It's like, would you rather?
Okay.
Somebody kicking the back of your seat for the whole flight.
Hate it already.
So are you going to turn around and say, step off? Or somebody sticking their unsocked foot
Gross.
through the armrest. I forgot to say, obviously, please play at home and tell us. But
Well, yeah, because everybody listening, you're thinking, has this happened to me?
Yes.
Both of those scenarios have happened to me.
okay, I've
And
never had somebody's foot stick
And
through.
I have had an unsocked foot.
Ugh.
I could see the bare toe
oh.
coming up on the other side of me. Oh, boy. Oh, does it count if I say for both of those, I actually choose step off in an indirect manner.
Okay, well, tell me what that means.
If I remember right, with the toe that came close to me, I just took my elbow and like jammed it really hard behind me.
Okay, so physical altercation is definitely a way of saying step off.
So I used a boundary violation or crossing a boundary to try to offset somebody else crossing my boundary.
Yeah.
The chair kicking, I usually give it a little bit of time just to see if it'll stop because it usually resolves itself. So I'll go ahead and say, generally, I allow myself to kind of be stepped on there.
Usually, I let myself be stepped on.
Mm-hmm.
However, I was on an international flight, and the person behind me, I think they were like trying to get comfortable, and I have great sympathy for that. Back in Coach, Economy Minus, where I sit.
International Economy Minus.
For an international flight. And I think she was trying to like put her knees up or get comfortable, but it just resulted in the back of my seat bouncing. And I turned around maybe even twice and said, I'm sorry, can you please stop? We've been on this flight for 8 hours. I need you to stop. Putting your legs and kicking my seat. I'm trying to watch The Godfather, which is actually what I was watching, which is an interesting choice for a flight. But anyways, okay, stepped on or be stepped off. Okay, this is the next one in the bathroom. Now listen, I'm not going to get gross.
Okay.
However, there are some gross violations that you animals out there are committing. But I'm going to say, all right, step on or be stepped off. Somebody like jiggling the handle and trying to get in. Okay.
I already know my answer, but keep going.
Well, you don't know because you don't know what the next one's going to be. Now, this is kind of specific for the men. All 4 of you listening, I need you to perk up. Get your ears tuned in. Somebody uses the urinal directly next to you when there are other urinals available. Now, I've been told, I have it on good authority, that is like the biggest boys' room violation. But I don't know if you tell a guy, what are you doing?
Hey, man, step off.
So I need all 4 of you male listeners to tell me, is that a scenario in which you would say step off? What were you going to say?
Well, I can already say I am definitely a step off. If I hear that jiggling in a very direct tone, I'm in here. That one is very easy for me. Very easy.
I used to feel kind of shy when somebody would knock. I'd be like, hang on, just a minute.
You did? Okay.
And I don't really feel so shy about it.
I don't feel shy about that one at all.
Back off. I'll be done when I'm done. Okay. At the grocery store, somebody hits you with their cart or somebody takes something out of your cart.
Hits me with my cart, be stepped on. Again, it's sort of the same as the airplane seat. I think
probably was an accident. What if they were hovering really close behind you?
I usually move myself instead.
Okay.
Take something out of my cart.
I would say,
no
excuse
problem.
Me.
That's mine.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me.
That
this
was in my cart.
I think I would give them the benefit of the doubt of like maybe they thought it was their cart.
Oh, yes. I would be in a kind tone, of course, depending on the day.
Depending on the moment. I have a friend who just accidentally hit somebody with their cart. And it created a scene for like 4 aisles.
Oh, my goodness.
This guy she hit made such a reaction.
Oh, my goodness.
She said it was like she smashed his kneecaps.
Oh, my goodness.
And the store employees had to come over. She kept saying, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do for you? And he was wailing, no, there's nothing. She goes, I didn't clip your, tendons. I just bumped into you.
He was acting like he was on the soccer field, like an international soccer star.
He was giving a major step off. And she said, in her defense, that he turned a corner too fast and kind of ran into her.
Well, that's why I think in scenarios like that, I'm a little more be stepped on because it's easy to do. Everybody is trying to maneuver in the store.
Yeah.
You might not see somebody coming. So I probably I have a little more patience there.
What about in a conversation? This is, I guess, somebody you know. Somebody hugs you too long, uncomfortably long, or talks too close,
okay.
A close talker.
Okay.
I can tell you which one I hate more, but which one I would be more likely to say something
say something?
Well, first of all, would you call yourself a hugger?
I'm more of a hugger than I used to be, but
okay.
I definitely am not I've just met you and I'm going to go in for a hug.
Okay.
I definitely am not. That's not me.
But if somebody reaches out and gives you a hug and it's one of those long...
I have had those several times in my life. Generally when the other person is inebriated.
Oh, well, true. But sometimes people just want to cling on.
That's true. That's true. Those are hard because then in that situation, I think I start to feel trapped and I really don't like that feeling. So if I'm trying to kind of pull away and I'm not able to to
you
get
do
out
like the
of
natural
grip.
thing where you loosen up and then they grip in more.
Right. Then I probably would say, okay, thanks, or that's enough. Something.
I think I'd be like, okay. All righty.
Let's.
I'm good now.
I'm good now.
But what if somebody gets really close? Like, have you ever said like, oh.
Close talker, that's also similar to some of the other ones. I can easily move myself.
But what if you can't? What if you're like backed against a wall?
I think I'm be stepped on with that one. I can't remember ever saying to someone, I don't like this. It's too close. In that particular scenario.
I think I have, but probably only to somebody I already knew.
Well,
like maybe someone I knew well.
Yes.
Like, hey, could you give me... Could you step?
I need
one of my
space.
children, perhaps. I'm like, could you get an arm's length away from me right now? When you get touched, I don't want to be hung on. That overstimulates me. So I've definitely, probably to family members, said, literally step off. Literally step off.
I need space.
Whereas the hug, it's definitely more indirect of like, I'm trying to wiggle away.
Yes. I mean, even as you're describing it, like I'm feeling uncomfortable.
And I'm a hugger. I think I'm a hugger. But that's uncomfortable to me. Okay, this is slightly more niche.
Okay.
But let's say you're pregnant.
Okay.
Okay.
Boy, all the way from someone in the urinal next to you to the
I'm trying to appeal to a broad group of listeners. Okay. Somebody asking you if you're pregnant. Ooh. Or somebody touching your stomach.
Oh.
Without your permission.
Okay. Have only had one of those happen to me.
Yes, okay.
And funny enough, so in a former life, I taught Spanish. And one of my students asked me in Spanish if I was pregnant.
Did they get any bonus points for saying it in Espanol? It still hurts in English or Spanish.
It was bilingual insult. I
think commenting on people's bodies is a big no-no.
It is.
As our friend says, you're not allowed to ask someone if they're pregnant until you can see the head crowning. That's her rule. Okay? So you can't. Now, when I was pregnant, and I think I was a little too early for somebody to really be making that comment. But when I was pregnant, Matt and I were out to dinner, and this guy, he was kind of a friend of a friend. We did not really know him very well. And he came up to us and he was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were pregnant. And I just couldn't resist. And I said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And the horror that came over his face. And I did quickly say, just kidding. No, I am pregnant. But I wanted him to feel that pain because you don't know.
No.
Maybe I've just had a big meal.
You don't.
Maybe I've just put on a little weight.
You don't.
Also, you never know, and this is deeper, but like infertility and stuff people are going through, pregnancy loss, just shut your mouth. That's a step off. And so even though I actually was pregnant, I kind of couldn't resist. That was my move for sisterhood. That was my feminism for the day. No, I'm not pregnant. Let you feel that pain a little bit. Just kidding, I am. I don't think I had a lot of strangers touching my belly, though. That is when I'd say, oh, no, thank you.
Well, and for such a long time, it was very accepted in society to do that.
Yeah.
It was like you weren't allowed to say, I don't like that.
Yeah. I'm not anti-touch in that, like, if it was someone I know and they did that, that probably wouldn't feel violating to me. If it was a friend or something like, oh my gosh, look how cute. I don't think that would feel particularly violating. But if it was a stranger at the grocery store.
No.
And honestly, I probably at the time would have been like, yes, okay, what a blessing. Bye-bye. But I think that's probably the bigger step off. I don't know. That's maybe personal to
I can remember when I was young, this was actually a little bit of a scary situation. My mom and I and my sister, so I was probably, my sister was maybe 2, so I would have been 5. We were at a store and we were in an aisle, and this man, this is probably one of my earliest memories actually now that I'm talking about it. This man came up and he started talking to my mom about my sister. Oh, look at her pretty blonde hair and she's so cute.
Blondes get all the
and
attention.
my mom was doing the be stepped on. She was just trying to be polite. She's, I could, even as a young child, I could sense something was off. And then the guy picked up my sister.
What?
Like picked her up. I can picture him, he was very tall. Can picture him holding her. And I can picture my mom's face like, what's going on here? And I think my mom even kind of continued with the be stepped on.
Oh my gosh.
And then he, after a minute or so, put her down and he walked away. But I remember that being a very scary situation.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So
that is a step off.
That was
do not touch my child. That reminded me of a story when I was in Target when my kids were like maybe 2, little cutie kids in the cart. And there was a man who I just noticed on multiple aisles. And, you're just clocking the fact that he seems to be in a lot of the aisles that I'm in and feeling a little uncomfortable by him. I'm just aware of where he is. And I would go to the next aisle and then he would find his way there. And it's not funny. It's terrible. And he was like, you look really good for having kids. And, you're like starved for attention in that way. And I was like, thank you. All of a sudden, all my fear went out the window because I was like, oh. And then he got a little bolder and he's like, can I touch your butt? Listen, he was very polite about it, but I did say step off. You don't know that story?
Now that you tell it again, I do remember it, but wow.
I just went, no. And I grabbed the cart and I ran. But I did have a minute of being like, I do look good. Wait a second. No, step off.
Big step off.
Big step off.
Is that your grand finale?
I appreciate you asking, sir. But no, that's not my grand finale because I forgot about it until just now. Okay, I just have a couple more.
Okay.
Public transportation, somebody taking up 2 seats when the train car is full, or somebody pushing past you to get off the train before you've gotten on.
Oh, no. We're running long, but I have another really bad step off story
I know,
for
I haven't even gotten to
transportation.
my better ones. Okay.
No, I had a guy pull my hair.
What?
On the metro. And I definitely did a step off. He pulled my hair and said, your hair was touching my arm. And I looked at him and said, not okay. And then I moved to the other side of the train. And I watched him kind of be very rude the rest of the entire ride. But that's definitely, what were even your choices? I didn't even hear them again.
Okay, somebody taking up 2 seats when the car is full, or pushing past you to get off.
Honestly, I'm a be stepped on for either of those. But somebody yanking on my hair,
that's
step off.
Okay. All right, I'm going to rapid fire these last ones. At a restaurant, this one really fries me. Okay. Somebody reaches over and takes food off your plate. It literally happened to me yesterday. Or somebody assumes you want to split the bill evenly regardless of what everybody ordered.
Believe it or not, someone taking food off my plate is a be stepped on for me.
Okay.
That one doesn't get me. The split the check, maybe this is how I feel. It shows a lot about me and money. I definitely speak up.
Okay.
Well, I only had the soup
when
and water.
There was a season in my life where that was a really stressful moment for me. Where everybody, it's like I had water and a side salad and you had 4 glasses of wine and a steak. And so unless it's really egregious, now I'm happy to just split evenly because I feel like probably the tab has been covered in my favor more than it hasn't.
Yeah.
But when usually a child, it was not my child, but when somebody reaches over and like if you want a fry, just say, can I have some fries? I will give you some fries. But that I was just like, get your hand. I don't know where your hair has been. I don't know how well you wash those things. Please do not reach over and grab but I don't think other people get that one makes me mad.
Okay.
So that's a step off for me. Okay, last one. You're at a concert, which is your happy place.
Yes.
The person in front of you is holding up an iPad to film the concert.
Oh, man.
Or somebody is standing.
Okay.
And you're like in a seated area of a concert and somebody's standing in front of you.
Okay.
For me, I feel like at a concert, you should be allowed to stand
Yes, I agree.
Even if I want to sit, I feel like you kind of should be allowed to stand at a concert.
I agree. I think I'm be stepped on or move myself somewhere else many, many, many times at a concert. If someone is filming next to me, I go and sit in a different seat or choose a different spot. Or
weren't you just at a concert where somebody had their iPhone the whole time?
Literally was telling you of that story.
Yeah.
Yes. And
I don't want to watch the concert through somebody's iPhone.
No, I don't either. So I moved myself.
But would you say, like, if you couldn't move yourself, would you say step off?
Probably so.
We have a local concert venue that I love that has outside lawn seating, and I love that. And we sit in the area with chairs. So it's like you're allowed to have chairs. Mm-hmm. It's fine. But when I get there and I set up my chair and just nothing.
We've talked about
nothing.
This one too.
And then you come and you squeeze in front of me and you have one of those giant backed hammock chairs. This just happened this summer. It like ruined my whole night. I was so mad and I didn't say step off. I did not use direct communication, but I did talk about them enough that they could tell I was talking about them.
I used indirect communication.
I used indirect, and then people in my group let me kind of scoot over so I could see in between the chairs. But I felt like that was really egregious. Like, come on. Don't use your throne at the concert where people cannot see over you.
Please
have a reasonable chair.
Yes.
Please be considerate. Okay, listen. We've stepped on and stepped off. We're going to get into our questions so we can actually get into the meat of what do we do about all of these violations.
Sounds great.
All right, here's a question we had submitted. It says, is there a biblical basis for setting boundaries in relationships?
Wonderful. All right, so I told you a while ago, I said, I think we're going to end up having a boundaries episode every season.
Yeah.
Because for several reasons. One, we keep getting questions about boundaries. It's very much in the lexicon. It's in the water. It's in the air. We're all wanting to learn about it. And so we keep getting really good questions like this one that we had submitted. Two, there's just too much to explore for us to put it all in one episode. That would be impossible. And a lot of what we try to do in this podcast is really break it down into very bite-sized, accessible pieces. And then three, this is such a fundamental concept when it comes to relationships, when it comes to our relationship to ourselves, our relationship to others, even our relationship to God. So we're here again. We're coming around the bend, and we're going to say even more about boundaries today.
All right, let's get into it.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk first, just a little bit of a refresher about what boundaries are. So as we talked about in season 1, boundaries are a line of separation. They let me know where I end and where you begin. They let me know what I'm responsible for and what you're responsible for. They let me know what I'm supposed to own and what you're supposed to own. Is everybody tracking with me here? I'm going to keep going. Okay. They let me know what I'm in charge of and what you're in charge of, what I'm supposed to control and what you're supposed to control. It's like a fence line.
What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours.
Correct. Okay. And we want a very clear line of separation to let us know the limit to that. In today's episode, we're going to add on to that learning about how I can tell if my boundaries are being crossed over, how I can tell if my boundaries are being violated or dishonored, because I think that's part of what is also being asked in our question.
Right.
So we're going to talk about how can I tell if someone has crossed over that fence line, and then what do I do about it?
Are there, surely just kind of in our quiz, there's clearly different types of boundaries. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What are the different varieties, types?
Yes. So we could probably break it down into physical boundaries, which that's a lot of what we talked about in our quiz.
Most of the quiz was physical boundaries.
Physical boundaries. And those are a little easier to determine if someone is crossing over that boundary because there's a very tangible line of separation. That physical boundaries would also include like sexual boundaries as well, which is a category. We're going to spend most of our time talking about another category we call internal boundaries because I think those are more difficult to discern. Those are lines of separation between emotions. What's my emotions and what's your emotion that's happening right now? That's a line of separation between beliefs.
Okay.
A line of separation between perspectives that you might be having about a certain situation and I might be having about a certain situation. Same situation, but we have a different perspective. And there's a line of separation there that we might name as an internal boundary.
Okay.
Those lines tend to be much more blurry.
Yeah.
Tend to be much fuzzier. So I really like the property analogy. So if you kind of imagine or picture, I have my house, and my house has my yard, and there's a fence that encloses all of that. And you have your house right next door, and you have your yard, and you have a fence that's enclosing your property. Okay, so we've got these clear lines of separation. But let's say you have a tree that's growing in your yard, and the tree is growing nice and tall, and the branches start to extend in the air over my property line. We're all responsible for developing both containment of that. I'm responsible to take care of the tree in my yard so that the branches don't fall into someone else's yard.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm responsible for that, to contain what's within my enclosed area.
Okay.
And I'm responsible for creating and reestablishing protection if someone has not been taking responsibility for their own tree. So if my tree has been growing, the branches, I've not been practicing good containment around that, and a storm comes and a branch falls off into my neighbor's yard. Okay, so it's something of mine that has fallen into someone else's property line. The person who has this branch in their yard is responsible for reestablishing and protecting what's theirs to own. And I was responsible for making sure that that didn't happen in the first place. So we're all responsible for developing that containment and the protective.
You might need to give us examples of what that actually looks like for the internal boundary violations, because you know what I'm thinking as you're talking? The fact that my neighbor literally has a tree growing over our fence that drops things into our yard and causes. So I might need more like actual emotional examples.
Yes, we're gonna.
Because I'm thinking of a literal tree right now. Because as you're talking, I'm like, you know what? Those leaves and acorns are all over the place in our yard.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll extend the metaphor. What is it metaphorically? What does it look like when an emotional tree branch falls in my yard or a belief tree branch falls in my yard? Again, I think it's a little easier to tell when this is a physical boundary being crossed. An internal boundary being crossed usually takes the form, not always, just generally speaking, it usually takes the form of someone attempting to control or manipulate what I do, what I say, what I think, what I believe, or what I feel. So an internal boundary violation usually takes the form of someone attempting to control or manipulate somehow what I do, what I say, what I think, what I believe, and what I feel. Now, I'm going to give you some very practical ways that actually manifests. So that might look like someone yelling or screaming at me. Back to our game. I worked retail for many years and as a waitress. Many, many times I had people crossing my internal boundary using yelling or screaming at me to attempt to control what I was doing, what I was thinking, what I was believing. That is a sign of someone who has underdeveloped containment. Okay? So
that's a nice way of saying it.
That capacity to contain or take care of the tree that's in their yard has been underdeveloped, and then they're branching it up, falling into my yard.
Meaning they can't manage their level of disappointment or whatever they're feeling at you in the retail experience. Right. And so they're trying to control you by screaming at you.
Exactly.
Because it sort of takes away from their own.
Correct.
Right? Is that okay?
That's exactly it. That I'm gonna ask you to be responsible for whatever is happening for me right now instead of me
Got it.
managing it myself. It might show up as name calling. An internal boundary violation might show up as ridiculing or even patronizing someone, sort of coming across as a better than type of posture or language. It might show up as shaming or blaming. Anytime I'm on the other side of a you statement, that is a sign that there is a boundary being crossed. It might sound like you should do this.
Okay.
You ought to do that. You have to fill in the blank. You need to fill in the blank. Now, those kinds of statements, honestly, they can be very well intentioned. Very well intentioned. They might even be completely, this person might be using them in a completely unconscious way. Intent does not negate impact.
Yeah.
Right? And so even if they're very well intentioned, it still is crossing the line of separation. It still is an attempt to control what I'm doing, what I'm saying, what I'm thinking, believing, feeling. And that is someone else's stuff showing up in my yard. I'm responsible for what's in my yard, and you're responsible for what's in your yard. It might show up as breaking a commitment or lying.
Oh, yeah.
Which again, that's my underdeveloped containment, an inability to own what's mine to own that results in some sort of additional harm or hurt for the other person. Even interrupting someone, again, a lot of these, we might even say, well, Emily, these are so common. Yes, and it's still crossing the line of separation. And so there could be a variation of someone's underdeveloped containment boundaries resulting in something crossing over my fence. And then also now we're talking about, now when that happens, I am responsible to fortify my protective boundaries. What do I want to do, or what am I going to do with this tree branch that's in my yard? So we might have some clues.
Yeah, like what are we feeling to know?
To help us know. So that we started first with
because there might not literally be a branch in your yard.
It might not literally be a branch in my yard. So we kind of started with, okay, what might that crossing look like? We could also, maybe even if we're seeing it, we can check in with ourselves and say, is there any additional clue to help me know when that boundary is being crossed?
Okay.
A resounding yes, everybody. Anger.
That makes so much sense, because thinking of that kid reaching over and taking their dirty hands into my fries, I feel angry.
Especially anger and resentment.
Oh, that's a big one.
Right? If you remember, if everyone listening remembers from our anger episode, we named that anger says there's something that I value that's being trampled on right now, that's being unprotected. Resentment says something I value is being trampled on, not once, not twice, but over and over and over and over again. So resentment is one of those really helpful emotions to let me kind of clue in, I wonder if something is falling into my yard that isn't mine to own. Again, this is why you and I are going to keep naming that emotions are such helpful data for us. When we are able to pay attention to the anger cue, when I'm able to pay attention to the resentment cue, I'm able to steward that anger well. I'm able to notice it. I'm able to pay attention to it. I'm able to name it. I'm able to feel it. And then I can use that data. Now that's a really helpful way for me to recognize, oh, this is where my protection is supposed to kick in. I'm going to, according to my values, right? I could try to protect my line of separation by, yelling and screaming back at somebody.
Right.
Or using another, you need to back off.
Yeah. Okay. So
situation.
Responding in like kind.
I could respond in like mind.
Yeah.
If I'm able to, again, this is a sign of me being able to contain what's mine to own in a really healthy way. I'm able to name it. I'm able to notice it and then steward it well. Now I can use that data to reestablish that line of separation in a way that's according to my values.
So you know a boundary has been crossed. You're feeling the anger or the resentment. And so what do you do to sort of reestablish that protection? Because
what would
you
it
said
look like?
It's like, yeah, what would it look like? You've got the containment. And you're like, okay, now something's crossed over into my yard.
Yes.
And what does it look like to have those protection boundaries?
Yes. I've seen something has crossed into my yard. Maybe even my anger is underscoring it for me. Now, what does it look like to protect or reinforce that line? A reminder, boundaries are not about controlling someone else.
Say it again.
Okay? It feels really good to say, I'm going to use my boundary to control you. It feels powerful when we often feel powerless in these types of situations. It feels strong when we also feel helpless in situations like this.
I see this so often in the conversations happening around boundaries when you're online or whatever, and you're seeing these. And it's so often, it's like, well, good. It's just my way of controlling my friend group now or my family of origin or whatever it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's like you said, I could easily fall into just like-mind boundary violation. You crossed over my line. Now I'm going to cross over your line to try to control you.
And we're calling it boundaries, so that means we get to stamp healthy on it.
Sure.
You know, that's what we're telling ourselves at least. And there's so many examples that you go, I don't know if that's a healthy boundary.
Absolutely.
Or being expressed in a healthy way.
In a way, and in a way that actually is going to result in a sense of protection for me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because
controlling someone's not really going to do that.
Not at all. I can say, you need to fill in the blank. I have no control over what that other person actually does. So in the moment, it feels good to say it. Long term, I'm still going to feel unprotected, or I'm still going to feel a loss of a sense of empowerment in that. So boundaries are not about controlling someone else.
Okay.
They are also not about punishing someone. They're not punitive.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Which, again, sometimes it feels good to want to do that. What boundaries are, or especially when I'm reinforcing the boundary in this protective way, it is a way of managing myself. It's a way to provide protection for myself. It's a way to provide protection for others and for the relationship itself. So boundaries are about protection and being able to protect myself, others, and the relationship. All right, first up, the easiest way to reestablish that line of separation is the word no.
Great. I love that word.
Okay? No is a complete sentence. It is not rude. It is clear. There's a difference. Saying no is not rude. It's clear. And being clear about my boundaries is a gift to myself. It's also a gift to the other person because I'm establishing clarity.
Yeah.
That is a gift.
It's actually kind to be clear.
It is kind. That's a great way to say it. It is kind to be clear. Now, you have said to me before that you have seen me suck the air out of the room with my no. At times.
That sounds so unkind, but you're just better than anyone I know. And you've had training and practice and lots of years of working on it, but you are just so good in a way that a lot of, especially women our age, are not good at. And I have just seen you just so kindly say, no, that's not for me right now. And nobody knows how to respond to that. So it sucked the air out of a few rooms because people just they're not used to anybody doing that.
We're not familiar.
You give a nice answer. You don't really mean what you say. You kind of go along with it because you don't want to, but you have no intention of actually doing it.
Yes.
That's actually less kind.
Yes.
And you are just very, no, that's not for me. No, I won't be doing that. And everyone's just like, record scratch.
So I bring that up Because another really important thing for us to name is that boundaries will always be met with resistance.
Well, that's also true.
Okay. And again, this could be happening unconsciously for me. When someone in a very clear way establishes that line of separation, I might feel disappointed.
Yeah.
Or I might feel upset. That's okay. People are allowed to feel some sort of way about my no, about that line of separation. In fact, to the extent that someone else protests my boundary, that exposes the extent to which they have benefited from my lack of clearly defined boundaries.
Yes. You've said that to me before, but I want you to say it again because I think that's a really critical point.
Yes.
And I'll let you say it, but basically the degree to which somebody gets angry at my boundary means what?
Or is the degree to which they have been benefiting from my undefined line of separation, from my lack of clearly communicated boundaries. And again, we're going to offer a lot of grace because so much of this happens at an unconscious level.
True.
So much of this happens because it's just sort of the pattern that gets formed in relationships. And then I come in with something new. I come in and say, no, I don't think that is what I want to do. And it can shock. It can be a shock to the system.
Very jarring to the rest of the room.
It can be very, very jarring. Now, also to be fair, I really had to work my way up to that, right? This is a muscle that we're working. So if you're listening and you're saying, no way, I can never imagine myself just using the word no as a complete sentence. All right. Let's talk about some ways to kind of ease our way into practicing that.
Because I so often feel like I need to give somebody 1,000 reasons why I can't do it, or I need to, instead of just saying, no, I don't want to attend that event, I have to have some sort of, I have a conflict, even if I don't really, like, I feel like I need that.
Yes.
Rather than just saying, no, that's not for me. Nope, it's not gonna be able to do it this time.
Yes. And that's okay, because this is a skill that we're practicing. If you want to ease your way in with maybe always starting with the word thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no because I'm learning to honor my limits. We talked a lot about limits in our last episode, and I like that phrasing. It's a way of managing myself because I'm using an I statement, right? And it also feels maybe a little softer than just no as a complete sentence.
Straight up no.
Absolutely. So thanks. I'm going to say no. I'm learning to honor my limits. That might be one
really
to
good.
try out. I could also offer thank you for the suggestion. This is if someone is saying, you ought to, you need to, you should, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for the suggestion. I'd like to try it out myself first and see how far I can go. So again, I am in that statement, I'm establishing both what is mine to own, what's in my yard, and I'm allowing the other person to notice this is what you're responsible for, right? If I'm feeling particularly brave, if someone maybe is yelling or screaming, I don't allow myself to be yelled at. So I'm leaving this conversation until we can speak more calmly. And these are all sort of on a gradient. These are all different levels of comfort. I'm just giving a lot of different opportunities for people to pick what feels best for you. If there's some name calling and you're feeling a little salty, who says? I don't believe that. So all of those are different.
Someone's like, you're pregnant. I don't believe that.
Yeah, that guy who came up to you. Who says? I don't believe that. So again, it's like building a muscle. It's a skill. Let yourself choose a situation that maybe feels a little safer, a little more low stakes. Try some of these out, see what it feels like. And because we're all on this journey together, working our way, if we're just even stepping into this, that in and of itself is a sign that I'm growing.
Well, I greatly admire this about you, and I also am married to a boundaries master.
Yes, you are.
He's great at boundaries. We had a childhood friend come over and try and tell him what we needed to do with the guinea pigs of all things. And he had my favorite response, which I catch myself saying to him, we'll take that under advisement. She was like, Mr. Spray, you have got to da-da-da-da-da-da, and you should be taking to an exotic vet. Da-da-da-da-da. And he goes, yeah, we'll take that under advisement.
That's excellent. We'll take that under advisement. All right, so we'll finish up with what are we actually doing when I say any of those things? What are we doing when we reinforce our boundaries? Let's wrap up with bringing in the biblical piece that was from our question. Ultimately, when we develop both containment and protective boundaries, both types, ultimately, we are following the model God sets for us.
Okay.
God does not really set limits on people to make them behave. He sets standards. And then he lets people be who they are.
Okay.
And then separates himself from them when they choose something else. So he does not cross over into our boundaries. He does not try to control or make. He sets a standard and then allows us to choose. God limits his exposure to people who are unrepentantly destructive, and he gives us permission to do that as well. So when we follow that model, we can feel more empowered to recognize, oh, yeah, these limits exist, and I'm allowed to put some protection around that. Scripture is full of admonitions to separate ourselves from people who act in destructive ways over and over and over. I'm going to link some additional resources in the show notes if people are interested in reading that more in depth. Scripture also names over and over and over again that we are to steward our own thoughts and actions and talents and behaviors and emotions. So it also points to those containment boundaries so that they don't spill over onto other people. So it is full of examples of protective and containment boundaries. We are not being unloving in doing that.
I know. That's right? What so many people believe, and it feels that way sometimes.
Unloving. We are not being unloving. What we are doing in reality is when I am separating myself from that or redefining that line, I am protecting the love in the relationship because we're taking a stand against things that destroy the love and can destroy the relationship. So ultimately, that's what well-developed boundaries allow us to do.
So when the question is asking for a biblical basis, you're not saying, here's this verse A, verse B, verse C, but in the whole of Scripture, in the way that God defines relationships or describes relationships or things like that, you are seeing this constant stream of distancing yourself from things that aren't safe, or would you say destroy the love?
Destructive. Or destroy the love in the relationship.
And
absolutely.
that it's not an unloving thing to do to place boundaries. And I'm guessing you didn't say this exactly, but like there are times when you just have to have a firmer boundary than others.
Yes.
When that fence has to be a really, really firm fence.
Yes. Yeah. And, if people are interested in more verse by verse, again, I'm going to link some resources in the show notes for that. But yes, as far as the overall concept that we're talking about, God models this for us because he has established those limits, again, for us to be able to not harm ourselves or harm someone else. And us being able to recognize where that line of separation is and develop both the containment boundaries to manage myself and be able to protect what's mine to protect, it allows us to protect the love that is in the relationship.
Yeah, and the containment boundary is so huge because in the conversations I hear a lot about boundaries, it's always people violating mine. And people don't often talk about the fact that you are violating others.
100%.
When you don't contain your own stuff in your own yard, you are constantly violating other people's boundaries.
Yes, and I am responsible for managing that as well.
So boundaries is a two-way conversation.
Completely.
And I'll just, go back to what you said about no is clear and clear is kind. And that is ultimately a better kindness to be clear with people about what you can do, what your limits are, where your fence line is than it is to try and be quote unquote nice in the moment and ultimately be spilling all over the place. Branches flying everywhere, leaves and acorns in everybody else's yard.
Yes.
Make sure you are checking out the show notes, especially if this is a topic you want to dig a little deeper into. Certainly, as you hear a lot online about families and how boundaries pertain, be talking to a therapist about that. I'm just, there's a lot of buzzy things about
hot takes
and going no contact and just, I would say approach these kinds of nuanced dynamics in the safety of a counselor relationship, but keep being encouraged to learn more about your own boundaries with us right here. If there's a topic you want us to say more about, definitely ask your questions. And maybe if it's even something we've talked about, like boundaries again, maybe it's like, hey, you talked about anger, but could you answer this question? Could you say more about that?
Yeah.
Clearly, we're here to talk. We're here for a good time and a long time. So stick around with us, and we will see you next time.